Hey, welcome to this week's A Conversation With podcast. You get a brand new one every Wednesday. And today's guest is Jacksfilms. He's an online creator that I've watched for, has to be about around a decade now. He's done parodies, skits, just a generally funny, nice person. And it's been really interesting to watch him grow over these years. It's also been a while since we actually got to sit down and just talk. And so yeah, that's why I invited him to have a conversation, which is what you're about to watch. Thanks. Hey, welcome to A Conversation With. My name is Philip DeFranco, and today we're having a conversation with Jacksfilms, aka Jack Douglas. What do you want to go by?
Oh, you can call me Jacksfilms. Yeah.
Jacksfilms?
Really stretch it out.
It's not a bad thing in general. I had forgotten that we did like a podcast, not a podcast back in 2016.
That's right.
But it's going to be definitely a different feel because I watched back. It's only because my podcast then was like 10 minutes.
Right.
And it was, for the most part, taking questions from your viewers, which you have a relationship with them that is similar to mine in that there is a lot of love and support, but just lots of just jokes at your expense.
Sometimes you don't know if they're jokes.
Well, that's the thing that's hard because sometimes some people will be joking and then some people are like, and this is a really valid well, not a valid criticism, just a criticism that's meant to get under your skin.
It's like surgically targeted. Yeah. Like that's really personal.
Yeah.
Shit.
So how I always start, because I've already kind of said my piece on who you are as a person and where your value comes from.
Right.
Not really. But who are you and what do you do for someone that's not familiar with you?
Yeah. Should I look here?
Anywhere.
Okay.
I mean, you can look at me.
Yeah, let's do that.
It's a conversation with me. Right. God.
So I guess first and foremost, I'm a YouTuber.
Sure.
I have a YouTube channel called Jacksfilms that I've ran for the last 13 years now, which is terrifying, but it's all comedy. So parodies, music videos, sketches. I guess I'm largely known on YouTube for a series I do called Yesterday I Asked You, or YI for short, where I ask a very exploitable question and then my viewers they're equally sassy and sarcastic. They send their very witty, funny answers. And so I compile the best answers in my opinion and make a show out of that.
I like just the idea of being able to crowdsource funny.
It's honestly, that's kind of what it is.
But then you flip a switch and you just take it to a different level.
I try not to make it, man reads answers the show. I try to you know what I mean? Because that's not very entertaining. So I try
that's
to
my new show. I would 1,000% taking that.
I mean,
when I see you do stuff, I remember one time I literally asked you, I was like, yo, this thing you did was funny. Can I just steal it? And you're like,
God, I wish I remember what that was.
Ideally. Well, it was the I think it was the Kids Bop thing because it's it's such a good idea.
Oh, I do kind of remember that. Yeah. Oh, thank you very much.
I don't say this as just kind of like blowing smoke. I genuinely love watching your stuff. I find, especially given kind of your output, I don't watch every day, but then I'll find myself after like 2 weeks going through all of them.
Oh shit!
Except for, I get excited for Apple announcements because of your videos. I'm like, how's he gonna hit him? How's he gonna? And you've been doing that. I mean, that specific bit almost
over a decade. Yeah, which is absolutely
because you started with parodies, right?
I did. Yeah, that's how I really got my start on YouTube. I was the parody guy. So specifically Apple products like the MacBook Air. I think was the very first one I ever did. But then I did a well-known Snuggie parody that went viral back when videos went viral. You know, I mean, it's different now. I mean, you could argue that videos still go viral, but it's not quite the same.
It's all over the place, yeah.
So, but yeah, I was like the parody guy where I would take an infomercial or commercial or just something terrible and dub it with my own music and voice and just, really dry, sarcastic, just kind of hitting on all the faults. It was satire.
It's weird how online content in general comes in these waves because it felt like parody was definitely at that time one of the biggest things, right? Especially for like music videos. Especially.
Yeah, right. That was king
and
on
then
YouTube.
That kind of died off, which is weird because every now and then you see one little pop of it, but it doesn't happen a ton. And I wonder, we constantly see old things coming up new if we're going to see a new wave of that. But I mean, because parody is just so good. I mean, it's one of the longest standing things, obviously, on places like SNL. Right. And you have new people, I feel like, coming out and giving it a new taste, like the Gus Johnson.
That's the first guy I think of. Like, he's kind of bringing that old school vibe of YouTube back. But that's a tricky thing. Like, sketch comedy, as we kind of knew it, is more or less dead on YouTube, or at least the style of sketch comedy from like 5 years before. So the trick is, like, if you want to still do sketch comedy, and live off it, you have to kind of like rebrand it, retarget, repurpose it in more topical, relevant formats. And that's the trick. Like, that's Because like this Yai show I do, everything, it's just all a matter of like, all right, how can I do this sketch idea that I really want to do and kind of like repurpose it so that it doesn't feel like a dated 2012 YouTube bit.
Sure.
And that's the real trick of it.
Well, I wonder if it's also because certain people that were really thriving in that scene end up moving on. Like I think of like Kyle Mooney and those guys, right? And
Good Neighbor, yeah.
Yeah, and there's like several of them. Oh shoot, Kevin was just talking to me about it.
Beck.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see that shift because they had things that popped, but it was just kind of the talent that was there, and you could kind of, obviously you have people like I think someone that also inspired you in a lot of sketch comedy, Derek Comedy.
How dare you assume that obviously.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, that was obviously 12 years ago, and then you see like everything that Donald Glover has accomplished. It's crazy. But all right, to jump back, because now we know kind of what you do. When you were little, what did you want to be?
When I was a wee lass, I wanted to be a few things. Yeah. So I didn't want to be an astronaut. I wanted to be an astronomer. I didn't want to go on the moon. I wanted to be the nerd that put dudes on the moon.
You're like way safer.
Way safer, A. And B, I loved math growing up. When I was a kid, I was really good at math. I loved math. For some reason, it just kind of like clicked with me.
Sure.
And that changed dramatically. But I really wanted to be an astronomer.
You say that changed dramatically?
Yeah, because like then I just got dumb. No, but it's just for whatever reason.
I got to enough where I can I know how to do a tip. I know how far something is.
Barely know how to do a tip. But no, I guess. But then like when I went to high school, I kind of wanted to be more of an engineer. Like I wanted to do the engineering route. So like maybe not space so much, but I still want to use this math love that I have. And then I got into creative writing in some English class in high school. And my sister told me, you know what, you should go into script writing. You should write screenplays for movies if you like movies and, you like writing, creative writing. So that's when I started to pivot dramatically from math to film.
Okay.
Cinema. And then I picked up a camera and a laptop and started making goofy sketches. Yeah. And then found this weird website called YouTube where, all my high school buddies were just uploading their dumb, like, hanging out after school videos. Yeah. And I thought, YouTube, I like the sound of that. Well, I'm going to upload this, really cringe, commercial parody on this website. And that's it. Like, that's kind of how the whole damn thing started.
Wait, so did you get views on that first thing?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. It didn't go like viral or anything like that. I was like,
wow, instant success. That's crazy.
Oh, far from it. No. It wasn't until my second video. No, I'm kidding. No, I don't know what it was, but I mean, like, well, then I started, that's actually funny. Like I'm doing the math. I'm going back.
Yeah. Thinking about it. Yeah.
I won this video contest, like back when Singular Wireless was a thing. Really dating myself here.
Hell yeah. Okay, wait, what's this?
They had like a contest. It was like oh my God, every word in this sentence is so old. Jamie Foxx had a hit called DJ Play This Girl a Love Song. Because he wanted to be like a pop star.
What do you mean? Jamie Foxx is a goddamn legend. He's talented in every aspect.
But a pop star he is not. So, but this was his, are you going to argue that? You're going to fight that? Really?
It's going to be weird because he watches this podcast.
Oh shit. Mr. Fox, I'm so sorry. But come on. So DJ Play This Girl a Love Song. Singular was like, hey guys, make a 30-second music video out of this clip of the song. So I was like, I'm practically Scorsese. Let's do this shit. And I did, and we won. And like, I think I won like $5,000. That was the cash prize. Wow. And I think they flew you out to LA. Oh my God. They flew us out to LA so that I could, see the set of, not even the set, the writer's room of One Tree Hill. CW's fucking One Tree Hill, a show that I never watched, never have watched, but that was the grand prize.
I thought it was gonna be like, and you get to meet Jamie Foxx, and I was like, that's kind of interesting.
Completely unrelated. No, not at all. If I'm thinking, this may have been a different contest. I think I'm kind of mixing up. I think there are two contests actually that I won. One, it
all blends. I get it.
It all blends. I'm old. Anywho, I won some video contests, and I guess that gave me the confidence of like, maybe I can make short videos on YouTube.
So you got some validation, and you're like, yeah,
sure. I like that validation. I'm sure is all it was.
Yeah. So I'm interested in when you were talking about like you were kind of a whiz at math, right? Things were really clicking for you because I know that you've talked about before when you were younger, like you didn't speak till you were 3. That
you remember that?
That was so every now and then I just remember random things, but it just stands out because you talk about you were so good at school and these things fascinated you, and then you were kind of a late bloomer /
yes.
You described it as kind of there was like a gap between your mouth and your mind. And I was interested in like, what does that feel like? Because when I heard the description, I felt, I got hit with this like small little bit of anxiety because it felt like I was drowning. Like if you're feeling something and you want to communicate something and you can't throw it out there, do you remember that? Or is it one of those things like your parents told you?
It's more like my parents remember that and they tell me. Like, I remember like I would just throw, when I was little, 17, I would throw tantrums. No, but like when I was like a kid, like a toddler and barely above, I would throw tantrums because I couldn't express properly what I was feeling because I had deep thoughts, man. I don't know what I was thinking. So I don't have like valid memories of that in particular.
Do you remember any of like the speech therapy that you said that you went through? Or?
I do. Yeah, there was a lot of speech therapy.
What kind of stuff happens there?
I think I think I may have had trouble saying my awes. I couldn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's that. And I guess just like proper articulation.
Sure.
I still so I feel like I stutter more now than I did like 10 years ago, which I don't know what that means. Am I tripping over my words? Am I trying to talk too fast? I literally have to like stop talking and like slowly reassess like an old man what I'm about to say.
That is okay. Just so, this is one of the best things you can do in a conversation as far as taking your time. I feel like I don't know if it's been pushed even more because everyone feels like they have to share everything, but there is something that is smart and understated in just holding a beat, figure out what the fuck I'm going to say, and then let it out. Especially in a time where even doing something long form feels like this small, we're not doing it live, but a leap of faith in some way because people love to take any small thing. And we're talking about something that, we're going to talk for an hour and a half, where all of a sudden any little bit can be thrown out there. So I think taking a second doesn't hurt. I think it's smart. But do you feel like it's for your benefit or it's literally your brain's just like, I don't know if I want to go through this sentence?
I think it's for my benefit. I think ultimately it's good for me. Yeah. Because it does make you ponder what you're about to say. Like, is it really worthwhile what I'm about to say? Am I saying it correctly? Am I saying it, in the right context? Blah, blah, blah. So, but I do stutter. And it's not like I have a stutter. I don't think I do. It's just more of like me tripping over my words.
Sure. I get that. For you, when you start out as this kid, you're a late bloomer, you have speech therapy, but then all of a sudden, was there a moment where something clicked for you as far as math, or just like it was this slow kind of lean where you're like, oh, you know what? Actually, I enjoy this. Or
that's a great question.
Maybe I'm good at this.
I don't know if there was a singular moment where it all clicked. I think it was a slow, gradual. So when I was in like first grade, I was a rotten kid. I got sent to the principal's office like 6 or 7 times in a year. Yeah, I was a fucking bully. It was great.
You bit a child's face, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So I'm just
I know way too many.
All the greatest hits.
I knew too many Jack facts.
I was gonna say, how long was this like 10-minute podcast that we did 3 years ago?
Well, we didn't talk about that. This is just me. Oh, one, being a fan, and then 2, just looking through your stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah, just read my Wikipedia. I see. No.
Yes, Jack Douglas, as a child, bit someone, and that will live on the internet now forever. That's what we do.
I mean, like, yo, raise your hand if you haven't bit a kid. You know what I mean? Like, come on. But no, I was a rotten kid.
I was like, I don't know if I've bitten a kid. I've been stabbed in the hand with a pencil.
Oh, but you didn't do the stabbing. You were stabbed.
No, I got stabbed in the hand with a pencil, and then I smacked that person's head against the bus window a few times. Well, we both got in trouble.
They probably deserved it. That's what you get for stabbing someone.
I think so. I don't know what happened before the pencil stab. I might have done something.
Doesn't matter.
I'm like, maybe at that age, could you say something that's worthy of a pencil stab? I don't think so.
But when you're a kid, you just take everything real fucking personal.
Yeah. Well, I think I say that adults need to have a job in retail, and I feel like every kid, at least for a little bit, needs to ride in the back of the bus. Like, I think it'll help you grow up.
For like humility
/ needing to know what to do in an instance of you can't escape the situation.
Okay.
Right. And things can just randomly escalate because the only person that could possibly stop something is operating the vehicle like
Fair.
So many feet away.
That's an interesting
analogy. Yeah. I mean, when we talked with Dr. Mike, I one thing that I liked was, the idea that we growing up need pressure so that we know how to push back against it. Sure. I'm probably butchering the point of what that he was trying to make, but that's what I took from it.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
So a thing that I noticed that we have in common is that we both actually went to Catholic school growing up.
Yes.
How long did you go?
From 4 years, 5th grade to 8th grade.
Okay, I feel like mine was younger. It was definitely because it was when I still lived in New York. I think I ended up leaving when I was like 8 or 9. And I went to St. Philip Neri. I would always, as a child, brag about going to a school named after me. I also looked into it recently. St. Philip is the saint of hatters, which doesn't feel like it's worthy of a saint. I know that he's one of the apostles, but or am I wrong? Am I?
I actually I'm not well equipped to answer that one, but a hatter, as in Mad Hatter.
I believe people that make hats. Yeah. And I was like, a little bit for everyone.
Yeah.
Did you have a good time in
Did
Catholic school?
I have a good time?
Like I have weird stories. Like I was a very messy child, and the problem is a lot of my memories are connected less with the actual going to church and more with nuns being horrible to me. And so,
oh, you had nuns. Interesting.
Oh yeah. And so I remember like one grabbing me by the collar and making me go out, and like, so I was a messy kid.
Jesus.
Took my desk. She's such a tiny woman. I don't know how she had the strength. Dumped all my stuff out in front of everyone watching, and I'm like in the hallway crying, trying to organize.
That's not traumatic for a child.
Yeah, I know. I was like, wow, what? I was like, who would do that? I was like, if that happened now, that's blow it up.
And a kid, right? Kid TikToking that, like, game fucking over.
Yeah, I just have to hope
she never working this down again.
But what was your experience?
So okay, I was an awkward kid up until college. So like this is like
I feel that
5th to 8th grade.
Sure.
Just magnify the awkwardness times 20. I had all my friends were super nerdy. I was super nerdy, but this is when I like really this is when I really like kind of fell into my academia. Like that's like 5th to 8th grade is when I learned how to write. Like I learned high school level writing skills in 7th, 8th grade.
Oh, wow.
Like work citation pages and all that crap. Like I learned so much of true academia in those years, much less so college and even high school. Cause it was a lot of work. I did not have fun because I remember crying to my parents a lot in 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade.
It's okay. We all cry, man.
But like because of the workload, the homework, it was just mountains and mountains and mountains of homework and just hours every night doing so I didn't have a great time, but I'm grateful for those years because they really did teach me like basic grammar, advanced grammar, how to write, how to put together not just a sentence, but a paragraph and a thesis and an argument and a closing statement, all that crap.
Did they also grade you on religious studies?
They did.
Yeah,
they did.
How'd you do there? I was a C student when it came to that.
Shame.
I know.
A+. I will say like that's when like grades used to really, really matter to me as a kid.
Sure.
And into high school. College, not so much.
I mean, it's how like you're told like this is what you are as a person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get it.
Right. So using that like badge of judgment, I was an A+ student from 5th to 8th grade, and anything less than an A+ was like a fucking failure to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
My parents knew who I was, so when I got AB honor roll, they were like, but then they'd lie to other parents and say that I was an A+ student. Nice. Which is a really weird way to feel shitty about yourself. You're like, my parents are lying about me.
But they got your back, man.
Yeah, no, supporting me.
Right?
If I need to if I need to lie to get a job or like for someone to like me, they're there.
Fucking nepotism,
Boom.
man. That's all it is.
Wait, so you have that experience. So then do you transfer to just a regular or a private school?
Then I went to a public high school.
High school.
No religious affiliation, nothing like that.
Do you feel like that lent itself to you kind of then straying away from religion?
There's a good question. Maybe. Yeah. That's interesting. If I had went to another...
Well, I was just fascinated because I know that you said that you the way that you had worded it was that you were finally thinking for yourself. And I found that really interesting, especially because, I mean, and maybe it's different now because everyone's got the internet in their pocket. And so there are more ideas freely flowing. But I know that when I especially when I was in middle school and elementary, it was like... I went home, I watched TV, I listened to my parents, and then I'd go to school, and that was my life. And so when I was going to Catholic school, it was like, that's the world.
Right.
So I was wondering, like, for you, because for me, it was, as far as straying away from the church, it was a very stupid thing when I was little. Like, I've talked about this. Sorry if I've repeated this. There was a priest that said that dogs don't go to heaven. Right. I don't know why I asked this question. They said they don't. But then he talked about some other things, and I was like, I hate this. I'm not on board with this.
Nice.
And so as a child, that was my mentality. Different than me as an adult.
That's really funny.
Which
like,
is
that's what broke you.
Broke me. I was like, dude, if Smokey's not there,
Smokey.
waiting for me, I know. R.I.P. Smokey. Poor fucking dog. We should have never brought a chow to fucking Florida.
Oh,
The dog was just like, so I'm inside all the time. Cool. This is great. Too much hair. But for you, I mean, was there any pivotal moment, or was one of those kind of things where it was just this like slow burn break?
It's so cliche and bad. There is a pivotal moment.
Oh.
And it's so like pretentious and like fucking really. That's what it was. But I was in high school, and I forget what year I was or how old I was. Maybe I was a senior in high school. It doesn't matter. Sure. Anyways, I was on some school trip, and I was reading Dan Brown's Angels and Demons. And midway through that book, that's when I was like, it took a fucking Dan Brown book to like make me question my religion, which is so shitty, like in hindsight. And so you mentioned something important, like the fact that I started thinking for myself. I regret wording it that way and
really?
my draw my life or whatever. Yeah,
Sure.
because I feel like that's a little condescending, because I feel like religion is such a touchy personal subject.
Sure.
And like I'm kind of, I guess I'm a bit more agnostic as opposed to truly atheist, because I don't know like no one truly knows, but like I feel like I don't really know what's out there, and I don't want to put a hard stop against it, but like at the same time I'm a man of science, but like no, at the same time like I don't want to put a hard stop to it, so I guess I'm more agnostic, but like it's whatever works for you.
I feel like that's
You know what I mean?
feel like that's very universal. As long as you're not fucking with someone else's life.
Exactly.
Who cares?
Then who cares?
If it brings you peace, if it makes things if
it makes you a better person, who are you to judge? Who am I to judge?
I think that there's God, it's going to be another time I bring up Bo Burnham, but I think it's like I treat it as this book that's essentially like, don't be a shitty person.
Yeah.
That's it.
And so it's a good book.
And so if it brings you happiness, great. Just don't shit on other people. Awesome. But yeah, I'm always interested when people leave, and then two, what brings people back, especially because like my mom, I don't know if she would still classify herself, but I think she's like a born again person, like lived a certain life and then was like, sorry, and kind of devoted herself to better stuff, became a nurse. And so I don't know, little things like that stand out. So you go to school, you're going to college, you're making videos at that time.
Yes.
And then we actually have, I knew that we had a person in common, but I didn't know that he was as pivotal. So Joe Nation convinces you to come out to California?
He does. Good
old Joe. And did you go to school with Joe?
We actually did. We never knew each other, or rather, I didn't know him, but he knew my sister, because we all went to the same Catholic school. But he was like, I think he's 4 or 5 years older than I am. Something like that.
I can never tell you guys with your fucking facial hair. It's like it throws
That's why
me
I
off.
grew it, baby.
Yeah, just to come on to taunt me.
Just to fuck with you. No, so, but like, he was older than me to a point where like, even though we went to the same school, and I think even at the same time, or maybe like 1 year, I never knew the guy, but he knew my sister, who's also older. And so my sister Eileen talked to me and said like, yo, my friend from middle school, Joe Anderson, Joe Nation, he's out in LA. So I was like a senior in college at this point. And she's saying like, yo, he's doing like YouTube shit in LA. You're doing YouTube shit right here. You should, I mean, she didn't word it as elegantly as I did, but she was like, you should talk to him. And so like he reached out, I reached out. My dad and I flew to Los Angeles and met up with him for like a few days. And he basically like, he sat down with us at some bar and pretty much persuaded the both of us that, yeah, LA is where I need to be.
Oh, wow.
Because he was right in the middle of filming his YouTube Assassin series.
Yeah, that was blowing up at the time.
It sure was. Yeah, it was huge.
He killed Shane Dawson.
I think he was literally filming with Shane Dawson when he came to like sit down with us. And he just kind of enamored the both of us, like my dad and I, and that's when we realized, yep, we have to do this.
And when you first came out, was kind of, for you, was it more of a community creation? Because I know that like there were a lot of, it felt like that was kind of the way people especially came up at that time. It was like 6 or 10 at a time. And like people would kind of help each other because no one was like hiring a DP. It was like, yeah, Joe's got a camera and he's a cool dude.
It.
Come on over.
That's exactly it. It was very much community based. I remember like my first weekend when I officially moved to Los Angeles. It was like a Halloween. Like we spent a weekend on Halloween weekend at someone's house, and it was like, so me and Joe, oh my God, like everyone, Shane, Steve, Nikki, Jason Horton, and I'm forgetting like 12 others, but it was like
They're
everyone under the same. Yeah, I know. Yeah. But we were all under the same roof for like some magical weekend. Like, and that was my indoctrination into the whole Los Angeles YouTube scene.
Dude, it's so magical when you come out here. I can still visualize driving in my little Geo Prism and driving to Kasim G's house because it was like right around pre-Maker days, Maker Studios days, and just being there and I'm like, I can't believe I fucking did this. This is crazy. And I think Lindsay was gonna come out, like fly out and meet me, and it's just such an exciting time. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of when that beauty did the beauty ever just kind of go away at some point? Was it
Absolutely.
For me? I feel like it was traffic related because I was in Venice, so I had almost perfect weather every single day, and so I still
but the traffic in Venice is awful though, right?
If you're going somewhere.
Okay, got it.
I've always been just enough of an asshole to be like, you're coming to see me.
Yeah. Nice. You come to me. Well, the whole, I will say, for me, not even the traffic, it was just that whole, the magic around the community camaraderie, I feel like has long died.
Do you know why?
I don't. It was just because it used to be no one had a DP, no one had any like no catering. It was like, nah, just bring your camera, bring some spare batteries and SD cards. We're good.
Is that your way of saying you're angry that we didn't give you food?
Yeah, a little bit.
Sorry.
A little pissed. I'm starving, dude.
Sorry.
So, thanks. But like, I feel like now it's kind of expected that you need more of like a team around you, or you need this and that. There is still some glimmers of that YouTube community today.
Yeah.
So you have like the whole community of like, you got Gus and Eddie, you got Drew and Danny, you got like Nakey Jakey, and like he's got his buds. Like there are still pockets of that today.
Sure.
But it's different. I sound like such an old timer, but it is different today than it was 7, 8, 9 years ago.
But I think using them as an example, because they've come up a few times, I think it makes sense because they are this blending of old school and new school, right? Where I think you were even were you in the Chip video, or am I just throwing you in that?
No, I was, yes.
Okay,
yes.
so there's this kind of like feeling of you can just throw people together and it's fun. But then also, you've got several guys going on fucking tour, right? And so it's like established and just kind of random fun chaos, which I think is good. I don't, as far as like how long it'll last, that comes down to each individual. I think we've kind of both witnessed whether you want to call it kind of the mainstreamification, where some people end up still thriving. It unfortunately changes some people. But I think when I look at that group, I'm going to regret this one. Like, you give someone 5 years and something will happen. But when I look at that group, I'm like, I personally get inspired and I get hopeful regarding kind of content creation.
Absolutely. Because I feel like all those guys that we mentioned, like, I feel like they're doing it for the right reasons. Yeah. They're in it for the comedy. They're making good stuff. And like, too many people get into YouTube so that they can get famous and they can be like famous stars and whatever. And like, other guys are just like, nah, I'm just gonna make good fucking content. And yeah, the Chip video is a beautiful example of that old school.
Dude, it's such a great, I love it.
Right? It's just a stupid, fun little skit. And it really does feel like 2012 YouTube.
Yeah. Especially, I think you get that with content now and then. The people breaking in that one is
right.
That's the
right. Like that's special. That's nice.
So for you specifically, because we're talking about the space in general. How do you feel like your content has changed from you if you don't get that first pop, but you grind to a certain point where it's notable, to now? What do you how far ahead do you think in your content? Because I mean you're not fully daily. You have like a heavy output. And so how do you keep up with that? Because it's not like when people ask like, how do you do it? I'm like, well, it's news. It's always happening.
Yeah.
You actually have to have like some ideas.
I gotta make the news, man.
I get to react to shit.
Well, it's just, I'll tell you how I do it. I just go through a state 24/7 of constantly rushing and falling behind. And that's my life. Like I barely made it to this podcast today because I'm literally exporting and exporting like a project manager files onto a shitty laptop so that I can like edit on the go. In case I get a call from someone and saying like, okay, that video is good to upload because I'm supposed to upload a video today or tomorrow. I don't know. It's just, I'm flying by the seat of my pants. I don't have a solid schedule. I have deadlines for sponsors, but I don't think well enough ahead in advance. So I'm just constantly flying by the seat of my pants.
Does that make you feel like you're constantly failing?
I don't know. Sometimes I do feel like, God damn it, I am just so far behind. I will never catch up. Other times I kind of like it. Sometimes it's just like, I feel busy. It's good to be busy. To me, it's better to be busy than the alternative, you know, because that's how I still have a job, right? But I don't know. Like sometimes I like it and the other times I'm just exhausted by it.
Yeah. I mean, when was the last time that you took a break?
When was the last time I took a break? I'm thinking, okay, the obvious answer is our honeymoon last May.
But while you were on your honeymoon, did you do something? Did you put stuff out there?
A little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you? So, I mean, even then you didn't give yourself a break.
I mean, yeah, but it's not like I was behind for hours at a time, like editing and filming. It was just like, oh, this is a fun little gag I can throw up. It'll take all of 10 minutes. So I do consider that a vacation, but
I get really interested with this especially because you're someone that puts out at a higher rate than I've had on before. So when you do that 10-minute thing, right? It'll take 10 minutes. Why do you do it? Is it because you think that it's going to make someone laugh, or is it like, I got to fill in this gap so people don't forget that Jack exists?
It's more like it made myself laugh and I had to get it out. So like last night I just uploaded a shit post because it was just one of those like, oh, I think this is hilarious and really dumb. So like midnight last night, everyone's waiting for Kanye's Jesus is King album to drop, and it hadn't dropped yet, and people are waiting, and it's #1 trending on Twitter. Everyone's talking about it. So I just thought, oh, I'll just leak one of the tracks. So I just in like 10 minutes, I just whipped up this shitty like GarageBand loop rap beat over me going, yo, I'm Kanye West, and I'm here to say that I love my wife in a major way. And just it was just this terrible like, and then it just turns into Sugar Ray's every morning.
Bad that's very close to his like Chick-fil-A song?
I actually don't know what that is.
It's like Sundays off or fucking, I don't know. It literally, I listened to it for the first time before you came in. I was because from the new track or album. Yeah.
Oh, I have no idea. I haven't listened to it yet.
You're very close. You and Kanye on the same level.
Oof, don't say that.
Why not?
Yeah, he's going to be on the hot seat.
He's going to be our next president.
Look out! What if he is though? I laugh. What if he fucking is?
He could be.
I know. It's terrifying.
You would you if Kanye West becomes president? Are you moving?
Oh God, I don't want to sound like one of those guys, but I will say Ireland is looking pretty fucking attractive right now. Aaron and I always joke like
Ireland's a great place though.
It's so good.
Like last time it's
heaven on earth.
That and Canada are my favorite places, I think.
Canada, really? Why Canada?
People. All my experiences in like Toronto and Vancouver, all three of them have been over the moon fantastic. But yeah, I mean, but I've had that experience specifically in Ireland as well. And that's people that know me and people that don't know me. Amazing.
The best fucking people.
Yeah.
Like we just got Aaron and I went to Ireland a few years ago. We first we met up with like, you know, a cool fan. Like we bumped into a fan at some beer show or some like, I don't even remember, like a farmer's market kind of thing.
Sure.
So he comes up and he's very polite and like, and we're the tourists in this small town. Like it wasn't Dublin. It was, I can't remember right now off the top of my head, and I'm so sorry. I'm on the spot. I'm under the lights, and it's super intimidating.
The people are turning on you.
Yeah, right. I'll remember time. It. I'll remember it as soon as you turn that camera off. I'll remember it. But anywho, this kid comes up and like, oh yeah, and we're like, hey, where should we go tonight? Like what bar? And he's like, well, me and my friends are going to this bar later. And so Aaron and I were like, you know what? We might take you up on that. Cool. Hours later, Aaron and I are like, well, you want to go to that bar? Yeah, sure. We go in. It's this local ass bar, like very, very local, like only the regulars go. So we stick out like a sore thumb. An hour or two later, this kid from earlier comes in with this huge posse, and they all literally go, oh, and we go, oh, and we're doing shots and we drink, and then the best part, then they're like, hey, we're going to go back to our place and watch the Game of Thrones season finale, because it was right around that time. Sure. You want to come with? And we were like, fuck yeah, we do. So we go to a stranger's house. It's 3 a.m. and we watched the Game of Thrones finale, and it was just one of the best
I love experiences like that.
Nights of our lives.
Yeah.
It was just only in Ireland, man. Only in Ireland could that have happened.
Well, I was going to say I had a similar experience in the UK. Sorry to just completely debunk your claim that it could only happen. No, but it was something similar. I had I had a meetup, which turned into an almost trampling. Oh boy. It was around that time where idiots like myself would go to the UK and not think of like, 1,500 to 3,000 people are going to show up. And it was like around the time of like you had I think, was it Toby that ended up like getting part of a fence through his shoe or his foot? I don't know. But it was, that was a different meetup. But it was one of those things where met this group. They were like musicians, had dinner at their house. They actually, we ran into them out here again, but it's like one of those beautiful things where it's just, you go somewhere new, you meet someone different, and it's like this meaningful relationship, even if it's in passing. But I think it just speaks to the people.
It was just, they're the best moments to have, man.
On the note of kind of like meeting people, some fans, some not, interacting with people. One, I know when you talked about when you were younger, you were very socially awkward. Was there something that kind of trained you up? Because for me, it was definitely being a waiter and working tech support, which is less or more disconnected. But definitely when I was a server, I was like, okay, this is how I learned how to talk to people. Was there something that helped you?
There was. It was honestly when I went to first off, college itself, like because beforehand. Well, I think just the freedom of college, the freedom of going out when you want to go out with friends. And there is the whole like, at least in our case, the freshman cliques where like, in our university, all the freshmen would go out in packs together.
Really?
Yeah, it was kind of weird. Like we all went to see Snakes on a Plane together, a group of like fucking 80 people.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean?
I never had that level of camaraderie.
Okay.
That's interesting.
But like, obviously it like weaned off. You know, we all made our little smaller groups, but that certainly helped. And just making that, like being a freshman in college, that's when I really started making YouTube videos, short films, etc. And that kind of forces you to be a people person. You can't really be shy and then also like thrust a camera in someone's face.
Well, I was going to say, because there is a bit of a difference there. Like I'm great on directly to camera, right? I feel getting better when talking to just someone one-on-one that kind of knows at least what I do or what the hell any of this is. But then like if I'm talking to, it is harder for me to talk to 4 people that don't know anything about what I do than to talk to like, if I go on stage and I'm talking to whether it's like 600 to 2,000 people, that feels more at home than talking to those 4 people.
Is it because those people you're talking to, they know you? Is like in this scenario?
I think, well, because most of those people are going to be on my side.
Okay.
Most of those people, I think it's just like, I've kind of always referred to it as like the continuing of a conversation that I've been having with people online. Whereas someone new, unfortunately, I always end up having, it's less so now if I'm talking to someone that's like 25 to 35, they kind of understand the space. It's not that question of like, so wait.
You make money on YouTube? Yeah.
But yeah, so something along the lines of that.
Sure.
But wait, so do you feel it's pretty similar if you're talking to a camera than if you're talking to a person?
Not good question. Because I thought you were going to ask about like, what do you do when you talk to someone who's unfamiliar with, what you do?
Oh no, we can get there. That'll be interesting.
Okay. I'll save that. But I think it's different. I don't feel like I talk to a person the same way I talk to a camera, because the camera, I'm like it's different. It's a bit more artificial, I think. I mean, I try to be like real when I'm talking to the camera, but like, of course, it's never really there. I feel like I'm a little louder whenever I talk to a camera.
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like I'm shouting all the time. Like, but when I talk to a person,
I can tell you have like the YouTube gene stronger than everyone, because you keep cutting directly to camera.
I know. I gotta stop doing that.
No, you don't have to stop doing that. It's just for
bad
me.
Habit.
For me, it's interesting. It's a bad habit to look at the thing that is responsible for where you are in this world, to go hello.
Well, podcasts aren't YouTube videos. It's a different thing entirely. So I'm still kind of like new at the whole podcast game.
Although I mean, you've been doing it with like Ethan and a comment. It's usually it's like paired usually, right?
Yeah. Me and oh my god, Eric. Yeah, I know. Fuck.
Eric. I'm just that's gonna be the clip that I put
I
out there.
love Eric. I fucking love Eric.
The guy you fucking forgot that you were ready to leave behind. Drop of a hat.
I still can't think of the Irish town. So like Donegal. Oh my God, got it. I got it. Donegal, Ireland. Okay. So sorry. So anywho, yeah, it's just a different dynamic, I think. And I feel like when I talk to people and they don't know what I do, I'm a bit more apologetic by default. Like something turns on, I'm like, oh, I do YouTube. I do like stupid shit on YouTube. I'm never like defensive.
Yeah.
It's never like, oh, I'm on YouTube. It's just more like, I just do like.
I don't turn into an old aristocrat.
Right, yeah. The old aristocrats. No, I just
wait. So you say, oh my God. So you say that the making videos, it helps you kind of like learn how to talk to people. How quickly does that translate to actually talking to like actual social skills?
Maybe a bit like eye contact.
Sure.
I guess because you you really focus up on a camera because you don't want to look off when you're sick because then it just looks artificial. But when you talk to someone like, I think I used to have a problem with eye contact talking with people.
Yeah.
And
well, when you start thinking about it, then it makes it.
It's like thinking about intense. Breathing manually. Then it's like, oh, fuck.
Show him you care.
Right.
This is intimate.
Do not break.
Then if I think of something.
Right.
That's a gasp of air from my eyes, and then back into it.
And then, right. So I guess that's a good question. Does filming for 13 years, like, does that help?
I feel like it does to a certain degree in the sense of you're creating muscle memory without realizing it.
Oh, right? That's an interesting way to think of it.
Or at least, I think it's also... I can only use that to a certain degree because my show is primarily jump cuts. So it's like, that's not how I actually interact with another human being.
Fair.
But it also, as far as the creation of muscle memory though, or familiarity and what a conversation would be, I think it's just going through the motions. I don't know. That's my thoughts on it.
That's a good point. Yeah. Does it help? I had a really good conversation with Ian Hecox. We had a really good conversation about how improv made him a better listener and conversationalist because in improv, obviously the big mentality is yes and, you know, that philosophy. So you have to listen to what the other person is doing to respond accordingly. And that makes you a better listener because a lot of people have the problem of not really listening, just waiting to get their thoughts out.
Yeah.
You know, because they're like, anyways. And he had this great point how improv really helps you combat that. So I don't know so much about like if looking at the camera making the YouTube videos makes me a better person at conversing.
Sure.
But I can see something like a more dynamic exercise like improv making you like a better like we even argued it just makes you a better person.
You say even arguing?
We were even arguing that. Yeah, sorry. Again, tripping over my words. Really arguing with it. Yeah.
No, you're great.
But yeah, food for thought.
Food for thought. So kind of connected to putting content out there. There's obviously always the thing that's hard of separating yourself from, you know, what's out there. What for you? You're married now, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Sure am. That was like, yes, sir. And I sure am. Yes, sir. And I was trying to flash the ring too. So there was like 3 things going on at once. Yes, sure.
One of the things that I saw was you in the past of you being, before she was your wife, you being excited, but also seemingly nervous about sharing her in a video in the sense of, because it's like, it's a first impression. What were your kind of initial concerns with sharing that part of your life? Was it like, did it stem from anything of having those concerns, whether personal or something you'd seen?
Not so much that. It was just more protective because I am not really, I wouldn't consider myself a vlogger, like a daily vlogger. Like I don't share really personal moments of my life. I'm the joke guy. I make the funny haha joke tweets and the shit posts. And, you know, I do the stuff on YouTube and parodies and crap. Like, I'm a comedy guy.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's almost disingenuous of a guy like me to share, like, personal stuff. So when I do have Aaron on camera, I try to make it, like, funny. So there's a series I do called Jack Ask. And it's sort of like, it's my parody or it's my take on the Q&A show on YouTube. Which, you know, also is so much less of a thing now than it was 5 years ago. Everyone had a Q&A show. Now it's not so much. So I'm like I'm trucking along. But we had like a tradition where like every 10 episodes, you know, I bring my wife on, and she is 10 times sassier and funnier and wittier than I ever will be. So she carries the whole thing. So like, it's more like we take questions from the our viewers.
Sure.
And then she just goes off on these wonderful tangents, and we film for like 2 hours, and I somehow cut it down to like a 10-minute video. But like, she's hilarious in those, but it's just more like she's hilarious. And there's like, I try not like, it's weird for a guy. I just said this, but it's weird for me to share like personal stories and such. So I don't, yeah.
But you also, I mean, but you shared like your wedding photo.
That's true. Well, right.
But,
okay.
but you even turned that into a meme, which was funny.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. It's like, please don't Photoshop our beautiful wedding photo. That was fun. That was a really fun one to do. Yeah, I feel like that I make exceptions for the milestones.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
But yeah, I don't share everything that goes on behind the scenes. You know,
Yeah,
I don't monetize our arguments and, you know, shit like that. Like,
no, like thumbnails.
Yeah.
Just like,
my wife said what? Yeah, I don't do that.
I jokingly told my wife that I cheated, and then dude,
she didn't take it well.
Yeah, those videos. I'm just like, why are you doing this?
So
you fucking insane people.
Can't fucking relate.
Can't relate.
Can't relate to that. Why do you put that out there?
Yeah. I think the ones, I don't know if I get more annoyed by the ones where they do it legitimately or the ones that are like super fake.
It's both are shitty.
No, both are shitty.
Know what I mean?
I'm just like, which annoys me more? Because there was definitely a period of like the fake prank era, which I think had a lot of people.
Wait, pranks on YouTube were faked?
Wait a second.
Back up.
No, they're social experiments. Wait, no, they're fake social experiments that are meant to make a good point, even though they're not based in reality.
Social experiments is such a fucking triggering thing.
I like
because that was such a shit show back in like.
But the thing is, we say back in the day, it's just migrated successfully to Facebook and like TikTok and all these fucking other places where
it really has.
The content's just getting regurgitated. My the new one that's like, is it fake or is it not? Is the God, it's a month old, so now on the internet it's like 12 years old. Was the I'm going to go around cutting people's headphones and then giving them AirPods. So like you get the reaction of them getting angry.
Oh, I haven't seen this.
No, it's you should do it.
Is this I'm sorry, a TikTok thing? Is that what this is?
It was TikTok, but a lot of them are now migrating their content for YouTube. So it's like shot where you can appreciate it vertically. Appreciate it, Jesus Christ. I'm talking about it like it's an art.
Well, it is though, Phil.
It is. Oh, it's all art. If it entertains, if it brings an emotion. No, but it's like, you see it vertically and then regular kind of like 16:9 format.
Right.
But yeah, I look at those and every now and I don't know if I get triggered. I just look at it. I'm like, so it's just repeating.
This is where we're going with pranks.
This is where it's happening. Hey man, it's I was like, I don't want to say specific people, but it just.
Well, I'm sure they're all real too.
All of them, 1000%.
All of them.
But wait, so back to like you talked about like sharing the milestones, but for that relationship specifically, if you're okay with talking, I know that you said like you're good with talking about everything. Was there a moment? I'm always fascinated with people that get married. Was there a moment where you're like, I want this person to be my wife?
Yeah. A specific moment? I don't know if there was like a moment. I knew, I'll tell you this, I knew very early on that I loved her. Sure. Like real early on in the relationship. And I was just, she'll be happy to tell you that, I took my time. I took way too long to like pop the question, and it wasn't like any hesitancy. Sure. It was just more like, I don't know what it was. It was just like, well, we're together. We're good, babe. And it's like, no, like in hindsight, you fucking idiot. Pop the question earlier.
Well, how long were you together before you asked?
We were. Oh, there's a good question. So,
these are questions that she told me to ask you. This is a quiz.
4 years. Hold on.
That's not that long.
Hold on. I want to make sure I'm getting that right. It's more like. No, it was 5.
I know there's a lot.
It was 5 years.
I know there's a lot of people watching right now. They're like, "That's a long time." But
no, it was 4. Oh my God, I'm that guy now.
It's okay.
Yeah.
When people ask me for how long in dates, I'm like, 1 second. Can you ask my assistant? They'll be able to give it to you. Well, I don't think that's that bad. So when I was definitely relating when you were talking about that, like because there some people I've talked to, they're like, oh yeah, this one moment I saw her walking down the stairs. I'm like, no, I didn't have that realization. I had massive love. I was never I got to get married guy. I watched my my parents go through some painful divorces and relationships, and so it was in my head like, that's a steer clear, different age. You don't have to do it. My dad instilled that into me way too young. There's probably some like weird damage there, based off. He's like, you don't have to. I remember my dad.
It's like, Dad, I'm 6.
Dude, I don't know. Legitimately, I remember being like 6, and my dad saying, even if you got a girl pregnant, you don't have to marry her.
What the fuck?
But you take care of the baby. And I'm just like,
Cool. I'm gonna go back to watching Power Rangers, Dad. Like, Jesus.
Barney's killing it,
Yeah.
but I appreciate it. No, but so anyway, I waited. I feel like it was 7 years.
7 years, okay.
And I would always, and hopefully he doesn't care that I'm like using him here.
Yeah.
I would always use Dane, Annoying Orange, because they were together, I think almost like a decade before he popped the question. I'm probably getting that wrong, but you always have to have that couple that you point to and they're like, it's not that
like,
long.
well, babe, look at that. Yeah.
And they look happy. They're great. And then, but then we got to a point where it was like, it was the only thing we ever fought over, because she really cared about marriage. And so she saw it as this like shunning, this like, I want to keep my options open sort of thing.
Yeah. I can. Yeah.
But did you, are your parents together?
Yes, they are.
Okay. So you have like an actual like good upbringing, like a happy home.
We do have a very, I think a lot of our friends growing up called our family like the Brady Bunch.
How are you funny then? I feel like,
where's the damage?
Yeah, where's the fucking damage, man?
Yeah, I'm a deeply troubled guy, Phil. I don't know, man. I had a lot of good role models growing up. I mean, like I watched SNL from an early age, like all the skit shows, you know, and of course, yeah, Derek Comedy, Baratt's and Beretta, this and that, like everything. I just absorbed it. I absorbed it, and I wrote. I don't know.
If I was a comedian, I'd resent you. I'd be like, I was beat as a child. And so I put it, or I was fat shamed as a child. And so I put it in, no, that's good. Well, I'm happy that you did get fucked up as a kid.
Well, I was awkward as fuck. I mean, like, you know, it took me till college to be like a comfortable person in my own shell.
Yeah.
So fuck you. There's my damage.
I did my own damage to myself.
I paid my dues. Yeah, don't guilt me.
How dare you not have a traumatic experience you can share on my podcast so I can monetize? How fucking dare you?
Yeah, what's the thumbnail and title for this one going to be? Like, I can't wait.
Where was Jack on 9/11?
God damn it!
No one's going to understand that
He said that
reference.
like 12 times off camera, always.
How dare you say I was making 9/11 jokes off camera? Oh, no.
Yeah, you can't use any of that.
Hey, watch this clip from our sponsor. I don't know if we have a sponsor.
Hey, this is a little interstitial I just shot to plug in a place where the conversation had maybe stopped, where I would normally maybe plug a sponsor for the show, though we're not selling. So, for today's episode, I'm sponsoring my own dang self. If you want to support what we're doing and get cool stuff, you can go to shop.defranco.com. There, among other things, you can snag this awesome varsity hoodie that I'm wearing right now, or some of our awesome classics that we actually just kind of discounted. You know, the flamingo short sleeve shirt, the pretentious tee, why be informed, maybe even some awesome socks and undies. So yeah, main point, if you want to support the show, you want to snag some awesome, remember you can always shop DeFranco. I just made that tagline up right now. I feel like a genius. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the podcast.
But on the note of other comedians, so when you were talking about you had good role models and stuff growing up,
Louis C.K.
Yeah?
No.
Okay, I did. Hey, there was a period of time.
There was, I know.
There was a period of time.
There was a period of time, yeah. No, okay, so growing up, well, first off, yeah, a real answer. Patton Oswalt, like he was like my idol all through like late high school and all throughout college, and I've seen him a couple of times, and he kills obviously. But and then like there were a lot of sketch comedy groups that I keep mentioning, but like I really grew up on SNL, like the Jimmy Fallon, Will Ferrell, Tina Fey generation or cast. Like I worshipped them, and I worshipped like the comedic beats and like all the punchlines and all the skits. I bought like the SNL DVDs, you know, best of Will Ferrell, best of blah blah blah.
Someone else that existed on the show.
Chris Farley. But and then oh god, what else? Because I want to give you like specific people too, not just like troops, but and I'm blanking hard.
How about this for a Patton Oswalt? What traits, right, do you really like appreciate from him?
He is such a talented writer. The way that he articulates his jokes and words his jokes with really verbose adjectives, like I loved, like it's like prose listening to his stand-up routine. and it's so elegantly written, and and his timing's impeccable. So like he'll build and build and build with just this flowery, beautiful language, and then the punchline drops in, and it just it's like a punch in the gut. It's beautiful. It's masterfully executed. And I really respect. He's also like as many comedians are. He's extremely good at taking tragedy,
right? Yeah,
because he's had some tragedy. Obviously,
I was going to say that's his last special. Like his ability to go there with his loss is amazing, and I wonder how, one, cathartic it is for him, but then two, the benefit it provides for like all these other people that are trying to grieve and kind of yeah. So I think that's always the thing that's interesting to me with comedians. Why in a place where it's not just like you want to feel good about yourself, why do you create?
Why do I create? Because honestly, it's almost always a matter of like, if it makes me laugh, then it might make someone else laugh. Mm-hmm. And that's just always been the basis. Like if I'm thinking of something, like writing a joke in my head, and I just make myself laugh out loud, then I go right to the computer, write it down, script it, and make it happen. And that's been the basis of most of my videos for the last decade and change, honestly.
Who's a creator out there right now that you're, and this is in a positive way, that you're like jealous of, right? I look to some creators and I'm like, fuck, that's just, I don't know if I'm
not a single damn person, Phil.
Not a single
I'm kidding.
Fucking person. I gave this guy the opportunity to be humble and give someone a shout out.
Nah, not
he
today.
Said, me, youtube.com/
Yo, can I plug real quick? No, so many people.
Just one. Don't you fucking, everyone else needs to be offended.
Nah, dude, laundry list. Here we go. No, Red Letter Media. I worship those guys because so for those who don't know, Red Letter Media, they're more of a podcast than a YouTube channel. At least I treat them like such, but it's just a group of guys in the Midwest. Is it, I want to say it's Milwaukee. I could be very wrong. I think it's Milwaukee. Anywho, it doesn't matter. They sit around and they talk about movies. They review movies, and they are so like, they're wonderful at dissecting why bad movies are bad. And I've talked about them before on my channel. I really do like, I watch every video they upload because they're hilarious. They're dry, super sarcastic, and maybe sometimes a little cynical, but it kind of adds to the charm and the personality. They have such a great camaraderie among the guys. Like they're always shitting on this one guy, Rich, and it's hilarious. But and then they're really good critics of film. Mm-hmm. They're really wonderful because it's easy. It's so easy to be like, yo, man, this movie fucking sucks. It's lame. They don't do that. They explain why bad movies are bad in such a, because they get narrative arcs, they get story structure and cinematography, and they get all these, as a film student, I really, because I went to school for film. Like I majored in film, minored in music theory, and I really like, I love film. I still do. But like these guys are just pros, and they're super entertaining to watch. So I'm very envious of them because the reason I'm envious of them, besides all the reasons I mentioned, is because they don't play the YouTube game. You know what I mean? I feel like I have to stay relevant, to catch up to all the youngins. I kind of have to hop on some bandwagons and do some trending shit and whatever. And these guys are like, yeah, fuck that. We've been doing the same shit for 10 years and they don't pivot. They don't change. They literally just sit down, talk about movies in their signature style. And that's all they've ever had to do.
Yeah, I think that's great because then you definitely take the brain power that you would otherwise use and like how do we chase and just put it into the shit that you're doing, or just chill and allow yourself to exist for a minute. Yeah,
and it's just such quality work for that exact reason. They don't have to chase. They're just like, well, it's been a week. Let's talk about the Joker movie, and it's so good.
Focus on like making a better surfboard rather than waste your time chasing waves. Boom. I'm a genius.
Put that
I'm
on
a fucking genius. Shirt. Now.
Oh my God, it's right on the mug too. That's so cool.
That'd be so great.
Something surfboard, chase
the reveal.
waves. Damn.
Just so
the reveal.
Oh my God. Okay, so what would you say would be your most notable or most helpful failure?
I have one. I actually have an answer.
Yeah.
Woo. Okay. So
the way you reacted like you've been bombing the entire fucking conversation.
Well, haven't I?
No.
Let me know in the comments below. Okay. So sorry. So
you know better. You know better not to fucking do that.
I know.
That's all of them.
Shit.
Anyway.
So on Twitch last year.
Yeah.
I like late last year, I tried a little experimental show called Yai Live. It was taking this show that I do on YouTube and turning that into an hour-long live experience. You know, because normally when I ask a Yai question on YouTube and on Twitter, I take a day to compile the funniest answers. And then, of course, I throw them in a timeline. I write, I film, I edit, and then the video goes out the next day or 2 days or whatever.
Sure.
This was different. This was all because Twitch, the nature of Twitch is a live streaming platform. The whole thing was live. I would ask the question live. I would compile the answers live. I would read off my favorite answers live, and then people would vote in real time for their favorite, funniest answer. And then there would be one winner. So this was a really fun, beautiful failure because I really enjoyed it for a time. I did it for about 20 streams, 20 shows,
Sure.
20 hour-long shows in the span of a couple of months, from like late August up until I guess November, something like that. And what I learned is that it was really, really hard because I'm playing the host, so I'm the face of the show, obviously, and you have to have that energy, as you know, of
Different skill set, man.
You got to be on.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm also in the background. I have a stream deck, so I'm switching between different graphics and sound effects and music and visuals and everything. It's like a game show. And then I also have to like, all right, guys, we got to take a commercial break because I got to go find your funniest answers. So I'd like, boop, press a button, and then a little pre-recorded video would play. Meanwhile, I would go into this like Google or this spreadsheet of, because I would ask a question like, describe your ex in just 4 words. And so then in real time in the Twitch chat, people would, hundreds, thousands of people would submit their answers.
Sure.
So then I would have to go and all their answers will be copied and pasted onto some spreadsheet that only I could see. So then I go in the spreadsheet and I go through hundreds of answers and I pick 5 that or so that aren't terrible, right? Yeah. So I go, that sucks. I can't say that. There we go. Boom, done. No. Yes. And me, like, this is all happening live.
Yeah.
And it's super stressful.
I can't even imagine.
And then I have to throw them on a poll site so that people know how to vote for them.
Sure.
It's all this shit. And it got to the point, and there were so many technical errors, so many mishaps. And finally, to the point, it got to the point where I had to stop. And I just kind of like unofficially ended it. I just stopped doing it. But
just in general, not like actually during a live stream, you were like, I can't do this.
No, just in general. Yeah,
I was like, because that'd be horrible.
Although I did have some rage quits. I definitely had some rage quit moments that I'm surprised didn't go on our live stream fail. I'm a little bummed, but whatever.
I guess no one cares.
I guess no one cares. Shit. No, I'm happy that didn't happen. But like, it was frustrating. So then I'm really happy that this failure happened because it was because of that early this year, like February, March of this year, I had this brainchild. I had this eureka moment of like, oh, I can make this work. I just have to make it more autonomous. There's a way to make it so that I don't have to go back and be the guy that fishes the answers live. I can make this work. I can make a game out of it. I can blah, blah, blah. And that has been like my life's mission all throughout 2019.
I love that.
It's all about, so I'm doing a live show next month and I'm also like kind of reworking that Twitch show into something else. And that's just kind of been like, I'm really happy that the show failed so that I could pivot and make something so much better. And I'm really, really enthusiastic about this. Like, this is kind of all I want to do.
Well, the way that you kind of described how it's changing for the live before you started filming, I was like, oh, that's amazing. Like, and one, even if it's not like what you wanted to do as primarily your main thing, it seems like a job that, based off of what I've seen from the live, based off of what I've seen in your kind of VOD content, that you are very specifically geared to succeed at. Like, I'm genuinely pumped to see what it looks like. I mean, because it's like the mixture of a game show host / comedian, right? And the audience interaction level, or is especially from the live events that I've seen, is always kind of subpar or weird, whereas this seems completely geared towards that, where all of a sudden I go in there as someone in the audience not knowing, like, am I going to be fucking featured at some point? Right. Everything's possible.
You don't know.
I dig it. So with you doing this live show, did you say that it starts on the 17th? Am I getting the date wrong?
That's correct. Yeah. So it's Sunday, November 17th. We're doing 2 live shows.
Okay.
We're doing one at 5 p.m. for all audiences, family friendly.
Okay.
Then at 8:30, we're doing a 21.
I wonder how
show.
many double ups you're gonna get because it'd be a fucking completely different show.
We're getting a fair amount of double ups.
Yeah.
My parents are coming to both shows. How cool is that? From Maryland, baby.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's gonna be amazing.
So yeah, it's gonna be exciting. And I actually, it's funny you mentioned this. Literally after this podcast, I have to run to do our very first like test live rehearsal.
Oh shit, that's exciting.
With like lights and everything.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Is for your shows are there any other creators that are going to be there that people know?
No, not at the moment, and probably not because like this whole thing is
egomaniac.
Yeah, obviously. Look at me. It's because this whole thing, like in the future, almost certainly.
Mm-hmm.
But this is really like a test show. We keep saying it's a test show because we want to have these test shows here and locally in LA.
Dude, low bar. Start it with the low bar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, keep your expectations low.
Thank you for coming to the beta.
No, and I think people know that, like, you know, they're basically guinea pigs to this thing because like it's.
And I think that's safe though. I mean, it's like you're super fans, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
1000%.
It's the people who are there to support you. You know, God bless them. But like that's the whole thing. If these shows do well, then that can turn into a national tour.
Yeah.
Mayhaps an international tour. Really dating myself with the fucking Dr. Evil reference. My God. Yeah. So
all the people just listening are like, what did he do?
What's a doctor?
Wait, okay. So I mean, I love like what came from a failure. Two, what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given? And this could be on like a personal level or even from, I've gotten plenty of great advice from people for the business side of things.
Best piece of advice I ever got was from my wife, Erin, when she, because I back in the day, in like 2013 or so, I had a much more lax uploading schedule. I uploaded videos when I wanted to, which was not very frequent at all. And I would get very frustrated when my peers on YouTube just skyrocketed in fame and popularity and success. Sure. And I just kind of stagnated. And I got frustrated. And then finally, Erin just straight up told me like, well, let's look at what they're uploading and how frequently they upload. And let's look at what you're doing. You know, like and this is Erin talking, like, I'm up, like I have a 9 to 5. I get up in the morning, I go to work. What if you treated it more like a 9 to 5? Cause I would sleep in beforehand. I'd go to bed at like 3. I was, I had a very lax schedule. I didn't have a schedule. And she harsh, like in so many words, she told me, and it was like a life lesson, but she told me like, treat it like a fucking 9 to 5 because it's a job, dude. Treat it like a job. Don't get frustrated when your peers do better than you because they work harder than you do. And that really stuck with me. And then boom, that's when I started uploading 3 times a week instead of 3 times a month. And it really made a difference. So thank you, honey.
Yeah, no, well, one, I mean, that's good advice in general. But then two, it's so, one, it probably speaks to why you seem like a normal, well-adjusted human being, even though you've been doing this for so long, that you have someone in your life that'll give you kind of supportive, tough love.
You need that.
Yeah.
I need that at least.
I say that I need someone to be able to be like, yo, you're being an asshole. And 3 people get to say that to me.
Yeah.
and then no one else.
Right.
But
right.
Yeah. All right. Last question that I try to make sure I always ask. What's a piece of advice that you would throw out to someone listening now that may benefit them for maybe what they're working towards or just their just general everyday life?
Oh boy. First off, I'm the last person to give anyone any kind of advice. But I don't know. And like, I'm trying to think, like, I really didn't become my own person until college. And I'm sure that's a gross overestimate or a gross overstatement of sorts. But like, it took me forever to get out of my shell. And it wasn't until I had a camera in my hands and I was just out there making stupid videos with friends that I really started to become my own person that I still am today. So I guess, I mean, like, I'm trying to channel that into advice somehow. And it's sort of like, it's one of those get out of your comfort zone memes, but like, that's not anything new. But honestly, it's just like, get out there and get your feet wet in various fields so that you know what you want to do in life, so that you know what your interests are. because you don't know what your interests are till you know what you don't like. I thought it was math for me, and then I just tried creative writing, and that changed my life. So try a million different things, and then you're gonna love one of them.
I love that. I know that you don't like take yourself as like an authoritative source. Like I find very few funny people that are like, here's life advice that and in a way that they're not trying to turn into a bit. But I love that. I think that, yeah, I mean, where YouTube, definitely not the first thing that I took a swing at.
Sure.
I failed at so many different things, and sometimes spectacular fashion. But then, yeah, when you dabble, all of a sudden, sometimes you feel that thing that you've not felt before.
Yeah.
And then I think the next step from that is like several months in, or unfortunately, like obviously it takes more time, but then several years in, like what does it still give you that feeling?
Does it still give you that
right?
buzz?
Or do you have to tweak things, change things? And I think even that, right? This many years in, you're still testing new things.
Always.
Right? You're still, and it's scary because you're doing it half the time in fucking public. For you, it was also real time. Then yeah, I think that's the way to do it. It's good to have that fear, that uncertainty, but yeah, when you feel it, you know.
I'm 13 years into the YouTube game, and I still don't know what I'm doing. Like, I really don't. Like, yeah, I have like some series that I do from time to time, and then I try the new shit, just seeing what sticks, throwing it against the wall, and it is terrifying. But you kind of have to try. And also, if you're getting into YouTube, if you're like new to YouTube and you want to get into YouTube, I highly recommend that you make sure you're getting into YouTube for the right reasons. I really like the way that you put it. It gives you that feeling, that buzz that you never felt before. Like, absolutely. I still get that feeling from time to time making shit posts.
I will say, so it depends on, when you get that feeling, but from what? Because I think you're probably the reaction. If it's just purely from the numbers, you're going to throw yourself into one of the most.
Don't do it for the numbers.
Yeah, no. You're gonna hit a big depressing wall if you do that.
There were no numbers 10 years ago.
No,
you know what I mean?
And now it's a constant comparison, and the thing that carries the weight of value. It's
the analytics part does suck. Because I do obsess over the number. I'd be lying if I said I didn't. Like, yeah,
a lot of I feel that is common with a lot of the old school YouTube people.
Sure.
There was a conversation. It was very brief in passing with Gary Vaynerchuk, and he was like, "That's the number one fault of old school YouTubers is you care too much about the numbers." And I was like, and it's one of those things because you're trained up to care, and so it's one of those hard things to break.
And it's also, I think it's fueled by the fear of irrelevancy.
Yeah.
As an old timer.
Well, we've seen plenty.
For me, I'm always like waiting for the day where it's just no one cares anymore. You know what I mean? Not waiting for it, but anticipating it, and it terrifies me. Yeah, I don't know. That's just my one less advice, more of a recommendation. Just do it for the right reason. Like, do it because it gives you a buzz. Don't do it because you want to be the next fucking Logan Paul or whatever.
How fucking dare you? Here he is, Logan.
Oh my God.
It was just 85 minutes leading up to the altercation.
Best reveal ever. Genius.
Thanks so much for doing this, man.
Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
And we'll cut out all the times that Jack said the N-word.
I would leave that in. Be brave.
Be brave.
Take a stand.
So that's the outro card.
Yeah, obviously.